Hello, beautiful people. So it's your girl Jeannie, and it's Jeannie's Signatures. Yeah, welcome back. So today I'll be making this beautiful cool neck gown. It's a gown. It's not a top, and this beautiful trumpet or bishop sleeves or any name you call it, and then with a beautiful wrap. That is not a skirt. It's a wrap. It's a wrapper. Yeah, it's a wrapper. Yeah. So if this is what you want to watch, please kindly wait till the end of the video so that you'll be able to hit the and subscribe button, and then please kindly share. So without wasting further time, let's get right into the cotton proper. Yeah, so we're on the cotton table. So I'll be making use of this material. It's called the Duchess silk. It's a very beautiful material. So I made use of 4 yards. Yeah, 4 yards of it. So without wasting time, I'm going to be using a paper because if I should mark directly on the clothes, it will not be visible. You won't see anything, and it will even give me a tough time. So I decided to mark everything on the paper so that I'll transfer it to the fabric. So it's just we're going to be using a basic body. So I've done several things on that basic body, so I wouldn't want to waste time. So I'm just going to do it off camera, and I'll back to show you and explain to you in case there are some people that just wants to go for this style even though they don't know the basic bodies. Well, I would advise that you go and learn how to cut a basic bodies first before venturing into this style. Yeah, so that you understand it very well. And I have several on that on how to cut the basic bodies on my channel. Yeah, sorry, I'm so tired. So I'm just going to go and do that off camera, and I'll be right back to show you. So yeah, I have it. This is a single paper. So I have the basic bodies indicating my bust, my waist, and then my hip measurement. And then of course the armhole, and then the neck depth and the neck width. So everything, the only difference between the front and the back will be the neck depth and then the armhole curve. For now, that will be the only difference. Yeah, so I'm just going to be cutting the armhole for the back because I'm going to be cutting the back piece first, and then I'm cutting the shoulder slope, and then of course the neck depth and the neck width. So I'm going to be using this pattern, and then I'm going to be placing it on a folded fabric. Please note, a folded fabric. So we just assume that this my paper is on fold, but it's not on fold, it's just a single paper. So let's just assume it's on fold. So that's when you want to place it on your fabric, you make sure that your fabric is on fold. And for this kind of tutorial, we don't need a zipper allowance. That is why you're not seeing anything zipper. Yeah, you don't need a zipper allowance. So I've already placed it on my fabric. You can see that the fabric is on fold, and I extended the length of the gown because the paper was not enough for the length of my gown, so I've extended it on the fabric. So I'm going to be cutting that right about now. So this is the back bodice. I just had to shift it down because I didn't know the camera was not capturing it from that angle. So note, I'm cutting the back armhole. The other curve is for the front armhole curve. And so I'm cutting the neck depth. I used pins to secure the paper on the fabric so that it won't shift and so that it will be easy for me. And when cutting the shoulder slope, please kindly add ½ inch for the shoulder joining allowance. So yeah, we have our back bodies. So I'm going to be removing the pins. So this is how our back bodies is going to be looking like. Truth be told, this fabric was difficult to iron because I didn't want my iron to chop it, so to speak. But I used a low heat to iron it later and it came out at least better. So now to work on the front, I'm just going to be coming down. That is my bust line, but because I don't want my bust, of course, to show, so I would go up by 1 inch from my bust line. It's optional, please. If you want yours to show, you can just come directly on your bust line or even come below it. So it depends on how you want it, but for mine, I don't want it to show, so that's why I came up by 1 inch on my bust line. And then from that bust line and under my armhole, I'm going to be slanting it from that, as you can see, down to the 1 inch. Can you see? So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to slit that open. You slit it open, so I'm going to be slitting that open. You don't cut everything out, just slit it open and leave about ½ inch or ¼ inch so far the paper did not tear out. So this is how I'll be placing it on the fabric. So let me arrange everything and I'll be back. So yeah, this is how it is. Kind of like managing the fabric for now because I tried as much as possible to get like 12 inches because I really wanted it to have that cool effect, but I think I had to go with 8 inches because that is what my fabric could take. But if you can go for more than 8 inches, as I placed there, as you can see, the length of the gown is not as long as the back. So later I readjusted that to get to this length because one cannot be longer than the other. So I just had to readjust it because I'm working with the fabric I have at hand. So I'm going to be cutting basically the same thing, and then make sure you cut the front armhole. As you can see, let me push it down so that you see it very well. So as you can see, I'm trying to cover the front armhole, as you can see. Yes. So that is how you open it to get that cool effect. So anyhow you want it, you do it like that. And from the folded parts, you just cut direct. You don't cut the neck depth or whatever. No, you don't need that. The only thing you need to indicate, please ensure to have that ½ inch on your shoulder like I did here again. That's your shoulder joining allowance. So you don't need to do any neck depth or something, whatever. It should just be direct. That place will be straight. I'm just trying to trim off the airy parts that was not too good there because it keeps pulling off. So that's what I was trying to trim off there. So the only thing you need to take into consideration here is to notch that your neck width, because that is where you'll be aligning that of the back width, because if you don't indicate it, it will give you a very big problem when you want to join the front and the back bodies together. So please ensure that you notch your neck width on the shoulder parts. So like I said, if you want it wider, please you can go ahead and make yours wider, but I'm working with the volume of fabric I have, and with the volume of fabric I have, I could go for only 8 inches for that neck, the cowl effect. So that is what I worked with. And for the length of the gown, like I told you, my fabric was not enough, so I adjusted that of the back to the length of this front. Thank you. So we are almost through. So this is what I have. So this is what I have, and when you open it up, it will look odd. Of course, it looks odd, like, what the fuck is this? What the hell is this? So, don't mind me using swearing words, I'm so sorry. So, those are the places that I notched. So, what I'm going to be doing basically right now is to cut out a facing, because a facing is always advisable at this point. This is how it will look after the whole show. So those are the places that I notched. That's where you'll be matching the back with the front bodice. That's what I was trying to explain. So now let's cut the facing. So yeah, I've placed this fabric, and I'm going to be cutting it all the way like 1 inch below my round armhole. So I'm just going to cut in basically exactly what is there. The only extension I did was down to my armhole, like an inch or 2 inches below, so that the clothes will not be coming out. So I'm just going to be cutting exactly what is. I know it looks kind of dark. This material is now black. It's a navy blue material, but you think that it's black because of the camera. No, the navy blue is kind of dark navy blue. If you don't look at it very well, you think it's black. So I'm just trying to cut out exactly what is there. When I'm through with cutting it, you wanna just understand what I just did. So yeah, I've cut out the facing, and I have to notch that as well. That's the shoulder, the neck width. I have to notch it. That's what I'm trying to notch, so that by the time I sew it, everything will sit perfectly and it will align very well. So this is it for the front. So that is how it will be inside after sewing. So when you want to sew, you place front to front, that is the front of the fabric with the front of the facing. You run it across, and then you notch, and then you top stitch, so that it will keep the lining or the facing in place, so that it will not be flipping over. I can't show the sewing process because the video will be too long, so that's what I'm just trying to explain. I just want to place it so that I will show you how to go about it. Like what I said, just sew it half an inch all the way down to where that notches are. So from one notch part to the other notch part, that is where you're sewing. Then you top stitch, and then that's just basically for the front piece. See that this material or this style is very easy to make, is beginner friendly, and is trendy. And so for the back piece, I'm just going to be using a bias to turn the neckline. I don't want to use a facing, but if you want to use a facing, please kindly go ahead. But I have a matching bias that I'm going to be using, so I'm going to be running. If you don't know how to turn your neckline properly with a bias, I have a video on my channel that will aid you on how to do it perfectly. So I'm going to head to the sewing machine, and I'll be right back to show you. Okay, yeah, before coming back to show you how it looks, this is the part I'm going to be using for the wrapper. I cut out 1.5 inches in width and whatever length you want. This cloth came by 60, sorry, but for the length of my wrapper I made use of 45 inches with sewing allowances inclusive, so I removed like 15 inches from it. So but if you are a tall person you can go for that 60, because by the time you wrap it there's a way to be, so it depends on the choice. So yeah, I'm back with my back piece and my front pieces after turning it with bias and turning the facing. So this is the back, I've turned it with a bias, yeah, and then that is the front piece, the front bodice, or the front gown. So I've equally turned it with the facing that I cut out for it. I made it very long so that it won't be coming out from the neck. You know, it's a cowl neck or it's a cowl neck. I don't know, anyone that goes, so you understand what I'm saying. So that's how it will be sitting by the time we join the shoulders. So basically what we're going to be doing now is to join the shoulders together. You align it so you can see why you need to notch the neck width area, because it's needed in this tutorial. It's very important for this style. So you're going to take your clothes to the sewing machine and then you are going to be running your shoulders by 1/2 inch. Remember we added 1/2 inch for the joining or the sewing allowance. So I'll go and do that and I'll be right back. And the way I joined it, I didn't just join it, I flipped over the facing. I've been doing that severally. There's a video I have that I did that. So I've done that, and when you see the shoulders you see that it's neat. You won't see the sewing because I hit the sewing, so that's what I'm trying to show. You can see it, so it's sitting neat. Yeah, the joining is not showing because I used the facing to flip over and then run it 1/2 inch across it and then flip over again, so that's why it's sitting perfect like that. So there's nothing that will be disturbing you on your shoulder. It will just sit perfectly and it's neat. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is taking the basic bodies, taking out the normal measurements, and I'll be back to show you how it looks. So you arrange your clothes properly and then you take your bust, waist, and then your hip measurements. And so I've done all that. I've gone ahead to use bias to run the length of the gown. So my gown is almost ready. It's looking pretty. I've given it a fair pressing here, but it's still not what I wanted. But it's coming by. You can see the cowl effect. It's beautiful. Yeah. So let's get over to the wrapper. I'll come back to the sleeve of the gown. So let me rush through the wrapper. For the wrapper, I've gone ahead to cut out a long strip. I'll be using 2 strips because it will be at both ends of the wrapper. So I cut out 1.5 yards in length. So that will be like 60 plus 30, that will be 90 here. And then unfold it's 2 inches. So when you open it up, it should be 2.5 because I used 1/2 inch to sew it. Then you sew, then you turn out. And then for the wrapper, I've gone ahead to stitch all the edges, all the 4 edges, 4 cornered edges. So I've sewn all that all through. So what I want to do right now is to fix the ropes to the wrapper. I was just trying to take measurement of the wrapper. I used 1.5 inches. That will be 1 yard is 35 and then half yard is 17. So if you calculate that, you know how many that is. But if you want to use two yards, yeah, please, it depends on how big you are anyway. So but this was perfect, yeah. So I just want to go right ahead now to add my rope to the wrapper. So one edge of the cloth is open, so I'm going to be pushing it in like so, and then I'm going to be running a stitch on it to put it in place before attaching it to the rope, to the wrapper. So I'm going to be placing it at the edge of the wrapper like that, and then run a stitch for one for each side. Please do this on the front of the wrapper, not on the reverse side. Yeah. So I've gone ahead to attach it, so you can see how beautiful and how neat it looks. It's a very simple style. She was just following me. So I've brought back the gown. So the next thing is to fix the sleeve. I'll be back to show you. Yeah, and so for the sleeve, yeah, I just folded into two. So depends on the width you want. And then I will just mark my round armhole measurement and then add 1 inch sewing allowance. That is what I marked like that. And then I came down by 4 inches for my cap's height. So depending on your own cap's height. And then again, I'm just going to be measuring about 4 inches right there. And then I'm going to be making an inverted curve to meet that 4 inches that I came back down with. And that is my armhole curve. And then from there, I'm going to be slanting it to the edge of the length of the sleeve. We have different ways we can achieve this, so anyone that is suitable for you, please kindly go for it. I'm used to this and I've never regretted it. So everybody has their own unique way of doing things. Yeah, so I won't say mine is the best. No, anyone that you feel comfortable in, please kindly go ahead and do that. So I'm going to be cutting this out. So I'll go off camera to place this on another material and then cut out the second sleeve because I didn't cut it together. So yeah, before you cut out your sleeve, so please kindly ensure that that curve is up to your armhole measurement. Sorry, I forgot to do that. That was what I remembered and I had to come back to do it. So you need to ensure that it's up to your round armhole measurement before cutting it out. And so yeah, I even had more than my armhole measurement, but truth be told, it's better to be safe than sorry. So when you have more than enough, you can always cut it off, trim it out, than for you to have a shortage. Yeah, I believe you understand what I mean. Thank you. Please, if you have watched up to this level, why have you not subscribed? OMG. Please kindly hit on that subscribe button and please ignore the background noise. It's my neighbors. They're opening their gate. The gate can make noise. So yeah, I've cut out the two sleeves and then I'm going to be attaching it, and as you saw on the thumbnail, it came out beautiful. So please, thank you all for watching. I'm going to be attaching it to the clothes and then I'll show you on my dummy. Thank you all. God bless us all. Thank you. Bye.